Greetings, cannabis friends, and welcome to episode 4 of From Soil to Oil, a cannabis plant's journey from being grown in soil to harvesting, extracting, and formulating into RSO, literally a cannabis plant's journey from soil to Rick Simpson oil. Okay, so in the last episode, I showed like the amazing growth that had gone on in a very short period of time with the cannabis plants. And remember that I'm new to growing per se. I'm mainly an extractor and formulator and a business person, but I sort of am new to growing. So I was amazed at the growth that had taken place in such a short amount of time, and I was concerned that I would have to flip the flower fairly quickly, and I did have to end up doing that. So in this episode, I'll cover how I made the decision to flip the flower, the preparation that I did, to make that transition. I'll go over some new things that I implemented, like some nutritional components such as Shilajit, some equipment such as like some staking and sprayers, stuff like that. And one problem that I've come across that could potentially wipe out the entire crop and just take out all the effort that I put in, right? So before we get into that, though, if we're meeting for the first time, my name is Al Morenton, and I'm the owner and founder of My Fit Life. I've been involved with cannabis and holistic health, both of them, since 1987, so about 38 years or so. And I've helped tens of thousands of clients over the years, but my claim to fame, or what I'm most known for, is I went blind from glaucoma, and I got my vision back with cannabis oils. And I also crushed a lifetime of migraines and chronic pain. And the caveat with that is that if I stop taking the cannabis oils, if I stop taking my stuff, then I go blind in less than a week. In about 6 or 7 days, I go blind, completely blind, and I go into chronic pain even quicker than that. So I really depend on this plant. I have a great love and for it, and it's not just a passion of mine. It's literally my life, and that's why I'm involved with it, or one of the reasons why I'm involved with it, and why I love it so much. Okay. And one of the cool things is that today, I help people all over the country overcome and manage a variety of conditions, with this plant and some other modalities. Right. So getting back to the episode, how did I make the decision to flip the flower? All right. So the tents, one of them is an AC Infinity 4x4. It's 80 inches tall. That's this one. And the one over here, which I'll show you in a few minutes, is a Gorilla Grow tent that's 90 inches tall. It's also a 4x4. They're both 4x4 plant or 4x4 tents, but the Gorilla Grow is like a foot taller than this one, and the taller plants are over there. The Gorilla Grow has white truffles. This is sour OG. Okay, so all four of them are sour OG, and so I did a little bit of prep before flipping them to flower, but the reason that I did decide to flip them to flower was mainly just room, right? There's only a limited amount of space width and lengthwise, and then height-wise especially, right? We're not outdoors, so we don't want the plants to run into the lights, and they say that your plants could stretch as much as 50 to 100%. So they could, go like to 1.5 to twice their size, in height and possibly in width too, during the first 2 weeks of flower. It's called a stretch phase. And it seems, it doesn't seem like that would happen, like logically, like this, from the outside looking in without having done it. But the amazing growth that happened, just from going from the planting in the solo cup to transplanting into these 10-gallon buckets just over a 2-week period blew my mind. So I knew that could be possible. And so when the plants reached just about halfway in height of each of their tents, I flipped over. So I flipped over the other tent, the white truffles, on a Friday of last week. Today is like Wednesday or Thursday. So last Friday I flipped over the white truffles, and then the next day I flipped on a Saturday evening I flipped the sour OG in the 12 and 12. So I'm doing so right now I'm doing 12 hours of darkness, 12 hours of light, and I sort of vary the light a little bit. I turn it on. I don't just go right into the super bright light. I sort of ease into it a little bit and then go into the brightness, and then tone it back down a little bit. And I am doing it by hand. I'm doing it manually right now. I don't have anything on timers. I have the humidifiers on the sensors. So if they go below a certain setting in each room, that have one sensor in each room, and each room has its own humidifier. So if they do go below that, then the humidifier will kick on. But other than that, like the lights and everything else, and I'm doing, just I have like an alarm set in my phone to turn the lights on and when to turn them off, and just the burying I do just by feel throughout the day. So I want to get familiar with what's going on, and I want to be in contact with them, and so I can know if any problems are occurring, and it's worked, because like I said earlier, I did run into a problem, which we'll discuss in a second. Okay, but so the flower, with the Build a Soil way, which is Build a Soil is the soil that I'm using, and they have a specific format for growing plants, from seedling all the way through to harvest, and so it's called the Build a Soil way, and they have like this top dressing kind of a thing that they do, and I had just recently done that right before the episode 3, and I actually show it in episode 3, and I go over all that I did, including planting cover crop and doing all this stuff, right? And I don't know if you can see in here, like there's cover crop in here and stuff, and that's grown, a lot, and it's super cool. But I found out later that you're supposed to do that, or they do it about a week before they flip the flower. And I thought that was just something that I was supposed to do at the beginning that I had been lazy about, and I had finally done it. And it just coincidentally was about 6 or 7 days before I actually did flip the flower, because I did the top dressing on a Saturday, and I flipped the white truffles, the tent over there, to flower on a Friday, so 6 days later, and then on a Saturday, which was 7 days later, I flipped this one to flower. So it worked out perfectly. I didn't plan it that way. It was just, just worked out. So so that was super cool. And so like I said, we're doing 12 hours of light, 12 hours of complete darkness, and and nobody messes with anything in the room while that is there. There's no disruptions of any kind in that room. It's a dedicated room. And then one of the things that worked really, really well that I had mentioned that I was going to implement with these guys was adding some fulvic acid in as a nutrient. So I haven't put any nutrients in other than that Super Thrive stuff that I mentioned, like a quarter teaspoon of it. I've done literally a quarter teaspoon for all the plants, not per plant. And I've done that. I did that twice. Right when I transferred them, into the big buckets, and then when I transferred them from into the 2 tents, I did it again. I got just like a little quarter teaspoon. That's it as far as nutrients. Period. Everything else has just been pure water, filtered water, or and so the fulvic acid is or not fulvic acid, but the stuff called Shilajit is really rich in this stuff called fulvic acid and humic acid, and those are 2 things that make minerals and other components bioavailable in your system, in your body, as humans and for plants as well. And so the uptake of nutrients is just better, and makes them more bioavailable, meaning that they're more absorbable and can be used for benefit. The Shilajit, I actually take it daily and provide it to my clients because it is so awesome. And it has, like I said, it has humic acid, it has fulvic acid, and all 84 minerals and trace elements, right? So I figured if it's so awesome for humans, it would be awesome for the cannabis plants. And I put half a teaspoon of it in 2 gallons of water in this spray, and this sprayer right here. It's a new sprayer that I got, and it's a Petra Tools, a 2-gallon sprayer. So it's super cool. It has like all the bells and whistles, stainless steel and pressure gauges and all this different stuff, that make your life easier and better. But the really cool thing about it is most of the sprayers have a lining inside the the tank inside of this tank, almost like a Coke can has a lining inside the Coke can, and it's harmful chemicals that when you drink it is bad. So the water or any kind of nutrients that are in here, like the Shilajit or any kind of ocean whatever kind of things that might be in here, teas, like soil teas or whatever, that come in contact with a liner that may be inside of the tank, which most of the tanks do have a liner inside of them for the sprayers. That could leach into the whatever you're spraying onto the cannabis plants and potentially do harm. It won't kill it, because obviously people use it, but it can put some chemicals into the plant and into you as a person if you're ingesting, especially the oils from that plant, right? So I'm super anal about all that kind of stuff. And I was looking at the Chapin ones because, especially with Build a Soil, they use the Chapin sprayers and stuff like that. But I believe I read somewhere on their website, on the Chapin website, that there was a liner in the some kind of a coating inside the tank, and I didn't want that. And this one specifically advertised that they do not have that. These guys are, the Petra Tools is USA made and all that kind of stuff. So it's just super, super attractive. And, here we are. So I put the Shilajit in a half a teaspoon in this sprayer. It's a 2-gallon sprayer. And I sprayed the soil and, did the leaves, with the underside of the leaves, the top side of the leaves. And I just went around and just did a certain amount of time, like 5 or 10 seconds or whatever of each task for each one, and came back and just so I tried to get as even an amount of the water that's mixed with the Shilajit in it on each of the plants, right, as even as possible. And literally 2 gallons, so like a quart of each, right? And the next day when I did that towards the evening time, and the next day in the morning when I turned the lights on, like it was crazy noticeable difference. Like you notice growth, each day with these kind of plants, but it was crazy. Like they were just more, it was more just like rich, and the color was just more, vibrant and deep. And it just like there was just like a noticeable difference than just the normal growth, right? And it really did well. And the number one thing is it didn't kill the plants. It didn't harm them. It didn't turn the leaves yellow. It made them actually look deeper and richer and all that kind of stuff. And to tell you the truth, like this plant right here, it had I showed it in the last episode where it had turned like about half the leaves had turned yellow. It didn't like the transition moving from the tent that's over on the other side of the room to this tent, even though it wasn't transplanted, from the actual container. It was just moves. It didn't like it, and you can see that it's not as tall as the other ones. It like sort of stopped growing, and leaves turned yellow. So didn't know if like it was not taking up the nutrients in the soil, or if it didn't have enough nutrients, whatever. So that's one of the reasons why I had put this little top dressing and topsoil on there to begin with, to give it some nutrition. But that helped a little bit, and spraying with the Shilajit just took it over the edge, and you can see it's all green now. It's still needs to try to catch up or whatever, and it probably never will catch up, but it's growing and it's doing well, and it's filled out pretty good. And for first time around, I'm happy with what's going on. Like all the other plants flourishing like crazy, and you'll see that in a few minutes. The other one where these ones are shorter than the ones in the other tent. This is the 80-inch tall tent. That's the 94-inch tall tent over there. So that's why these ones are in here, because they're not as tall as the white truffles. Okay, but you can see like the other 3 plants are sort of like the same height. They're from a mother plant. They were clones. And so that's sort of to be expected. But I did add in some stakes. Okay, so this one has a stake in it, but it's only 3 feet tall. I had meant to use this one over here and that one over there, but it didn't work out that way. So I'll probably end up replacing the stake that's in this plant, because it's already outgrown it, right? And then, but there's stakes, all the back ones. And here I staked the main stalk just to give it some support. These plants over here, the they were sort of leaning a little bit, so I figured that they needed it. The white truffles ones, they didn't need it as much, per se. They just going straight up, they're a little bit more of a stretchy plant than this is more of a bushy plant, it seems like. But yeah. So but given the any plant that's of this kind of a nature that grows in this vertical fashion, staking it's going to give it strength. And so I staked them. I bought a bunch more stakes and stuff like that. I have this one is a 4-foot stake. That one that's this plant's already outgrown it is a 3-foot stake, and then over in the other room I have 5-foot stakes, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. Alrighty. So yes, but anyways, the full or the Shilajit, which I think I mentioned, but I'll mention again just in case I didn't, that rich in fulvic acid and humic acid, which make the minerals like bioavailable for humans and plants, meaning that they could be used for benefit, and to grow and and repair and do anything that needs to be done within itself. And same things for us. Like I said, I take it every day. I figured it would be good for the plants, and it did. And because it's sort of scary because the plants could go in reverse like in just a day, and so like when you introduce something that people don't typically, I haven't heard of anybody putting Shilajit into cannabis plants, and it's sort of scary when you do that. You don't know if you're going to wake up with the plants dead, and which can happen, or severely compromised, and that very well can happen, but you never know until you try. So, and I was very, very confident because it's derived from plant matter that's thousands of years old up in pristine parts, in the Himalayas, so it's super awesome. It's stuff. It's the most prescribed substance in Ayurveda, by the Hindu masters and stuff like that. So, and like I said, I've been taking it, for over 2 decades, and understand its immense benefit. The Hindu masters say it gives you life force energy. So I figured it would do this. Like I wanted that for my plants too, because I love them so much. Alrighty. So these ones are doing really, really well. You can tell I did end up one thing I don't think I mentioned. They were growing so quickly vertically that I ended up doing a small little topping, just a little that little top growth that comes out. I snipped that. I didn't do like a major topping to try to do any kind of major training or anything. I just was trying to slightly slow down the vertical growth and possibly have it fill in a little bit below, which it did. Plus going into flower, everything fills in regardless. But yeah, so I did do that because they were growing so quickly now, and I was afraid I was going to run out of room, right? But other than that, there's no really training that's going on. So the staking is about the extent of training that I'm going to be doing, and that's more of support than like so. As the buds get big, the ancillary branches that have buds on them, they don't get too heavy and snap. Or when we're getting closer to bud and harvest. It's that kind of a thing. So taking care of that earlier, you want to have a certain amount of growth with a plant before you stake, but these have gone, far enough to where they can be staked. So let me show you the next over here. Turn this, like I said, I'm on a laptop right now, so it's a little bit of a compromise kind of thing here. But let's see. Where is that at? This is over here, guys. So this is the hose for the this guy right here. That's the humidifier that I'm using. It's an AC Infinity, the D7 or whatever 7, the biggest one they have, basically. And I have one for each of the 4x4 tents. It's a little bit more than you need for a 4x4 tent, but the other ones are a little bit less than you need for a 4x4 tent. So I like to have like better equipment and to get a better result, and not like cheap out on certain things if at all possible, if finances allow, that kind of thing, right? But you can see like I'm sitting in the same chair as I was before, but you can see these plants are much taller than me, and like I don't know if you can see, Let's see. Let me raise this up a little bit. So this top right here, that's that's 5 feet. Okay, like the stake's about like 10 inches into the ground, but this is a 5 foot stake, right? So the plants that are getting up there, they're just the you know 6 inches away from that, whatever. So they'll be 5 feet tall, fairly quickly here, and it's amazing, right? So you can see why like I wanted to, or I felt like I had to flip the flower, right? And there's these ones you can see a little bit better where there's a little bit of space here, and there's I don't know if you can see the cover crop, how good this camera is on this laptop, but there is like some cover crop in there and stuff like that, and it's grown out really really well too. It amazes me, just when things grow, it's just super awesome, just to see life, literally sprouting, right? And this is, like you said, it's the white truffles, and it's there's 4 plants in this room, and from last week this week you'll be able to see, because the last episode was just, it was 6 or 7 days ago, and you'll see like tremendous growth vertically, and then they filled in because it was sort of like sparse before, and now they filled in greatly, and they're going to continue to do that, which is super awesome. So the next step I'm going to do, as far as like the staking and stuff like that, is I'm going to put some stakes on the outside, like probably 4 stakes along the outside, and because there's like these branches that are going to have buds on them that will possibly get heavy and want to snap off. So if I could stake them, and just like tie those bud heavy branches, or what will be bud heavy branches, to those stakes, then I'll save a lot of heartache, and then it actually makes the plants grow bigger and better buds, and and bigger and better just everything, right? When you stake properly, and then when you have the 4 posts, that are just pretty much put evenly on either side of the grow bag, then you could like sort of make your own little trellis, put little crossbars, and support certain ones, that certain branches that aren't next to the to the vertical stake. You can put horizontal ones, and just sort of like lean them up against and tie them, and make almost like a tomato cage or something after the fact, kind of a thing. But it'll even be better because everything is going to be strategically placed where it should be, right? So that's what I'm going to do with that, because I noticed with regular growing, I'm not like a super hardcore farmer, but I've been around farmers my whole life, and I know just from watching them and from the growing that I did when I was a little kid, that doing the staking and doing this, like things like that, where you can support and the growth of the fruits that the plant provides, then you get a better crop, and it's less stress on the plant itself. So the actual end result is like literally better nutritionally, right? And it just also keeps you in contact with the plant too. You're breathing out the carbon dioxide, which it greatly needs, which is better than any carbon dioxide machine, for a home grow, right? Maybe not for a commercial grow that's super big, but for a small room, like me just talking in here like this, is crazy amounts of CO2 for the and this carbon period for the plants, which they thrive on like crazy. It's super awesome. You're touching and transferring vibration. It's a bunch of beautiful things happen, and you just like, the plants know that you love them, and they'll grow and flourish, and because they want to provide for, like these ones, they want to provide for me because they know that I need them, right? So that's pretty cool. So let's get into the problem that I'm having, and I'll let you know why I think it happened. And the problem I'm having is I noticed a bug or two, here or there, right? Like I haven't seen more than one on a total leaf, but I did notice like I looked online, as everybody does, and it looks sort of like fungus gnats. It doesn't look as big as a fungus gnat, but but it has like that kind of colors or whatever, and but there's just like one on this leaf or maybe one on that leaf over there, like just a couple, like less than 5 or 10 in the whole room, in the whole grow tent, right? But I did notice that like 2 days ago, and so I've been researching a little bit on how to organically and safely take that away, without using chemicals that are going to harm the plant and possibly harm humans as well, and how to eradicate that situation. If it is fungus gnats, if it is some other kind of pest that needs to be eradicated, and then you never know, like there's this is like a living organism kind of a thing with the cover crop, and there's worms and all kind. And I put the red wiggler worms. I put over 200 red wiggler worms, dispersed amongst the 8 grow bags, right? So there's like living organisms, and there's going to be some that are beneficial so it might be something beneficial. You never know. It might be something super harmful, but I'm going to do stuff to eradicate things like fungus gnats in a safe manner. I know how some people do it, like in their biodynamic farms that are not cannabis related. So I'm going to use their kinds of principles, and I'm having some stuff sent to me from those farmers. They're just like gifting me some stuff, and it's just you buy it anywhere. If they're going to gift it to me, then I'll take their stuff, because I don't have to wonder if I bought the right thing, right? So I'm waiting for that to arrive, and I'm just keeping a clean environment and using clean water and stuff like that. Doing the best I can in the meantime. And it's been a couple of days, and it hasn't increased or anything, but I still can't find one here and one there. And I know that just very quickly, if it is a bad bug and it is a bad situation, it could turn into a bad situation, like very, very rapidly, and it can take out your entire crop. So I want to mitigate that and be proactive about it. But also, like we mentioned, not use any harmful chemicals or chemicals at all, right? I'm all about. I eat beyond organic, biodynamic food, grown food. And same thing with the plants, and especially if I provide it to other people too, like their oils and stuff like that. So the reason I think that it happened, okay, is because I did do that cover crop, with the build a flower, the little top dressing soil, and there's like this craft blend stuff that you throw in there that has some nutritional components, and then there's the cover crop seeds that you throw in there, and then you're supposed to sort of work them into the soil that you just put in, like the build a flower. In my case, I'm doing that build a soil way, but so you either do that, or you can just put more of that build a flower, top dressing soil on top to cover the cover crop seeds, and then you put something else, and then you put the straw on there. And I didn't cover the cover crop seeds, so they were exposed. I just had so it was like they were on top of the soil, and then the straw was on top of that. So the seeds sprouted, and some of them, like, they sprouted up and they sort of attached to the straw, this barley straw, and then there was no nutrition to grab onto because the roots weren't into the soil, and they died and started decaying and sort of had like a white, they turned it like a white, like almost like a mold, or like almost like a webby kind of a thing. It's a small little thing. But I took care of that, and then I put more top dressing and other stuff, and to try to eradicate that from being a problem. But I think that that's pretty much how it may have happened, right? But if that is or isn't the case, the fact is that there is something happening that I am having to take care of, and I am in the process of doing that. So in the next episode, we'll be showing the progress with the flowering, and because we'll be basically at the end of that 2-week stretch in the next video, because we're through week 1 of that 2-week stretch right now, where they say it could increase 50 to 100% in its height and even width, and then we'll also go over that gnat situation, to see if it was something that was harmful, and if it was, that if I was able to eradicate it, or if it got worse, or if it got better, right? So that's basically it, though. We did end up flipping the flower, went on the 12-12 cycle. I'm doing it, manually, turning the lights on and off manually, and I'm sort of varying the brightness throughout the day a little bit, just to mimic, a little bit of how daylight works, sunrise and sunset kind of a thing. And I'm doing the manual thing as opposed to the timers, because I have the timers and that you have with the app for the phone where everything is automated, but I wouldn't have noticed the bugs that way, and I wouldn't have this one-to-one relationship going as much as I do right now, because I do tend to get lazy if I have the opportunity to be, so this is just keeping me on my toes a little more. And I want to do this, especially with this first grow, to understand what's going on and actually be able to learn and have effect with things, so I'm not just like following directions. I could actually, be able to see problems as they're happening, or even before they happen, possibly, and then understand the different steps that need to be taken to eradicate them, or learn how to research problems and who to contact and who to trust and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of different things that go into becoming a good grower, right? And sometimes you have to fall on your face with things, and I'm best way to do that, I think, is just to go all in and do it manually this first time around. All right, so hopefully all that makes sense, and if you have any questions about anything, even like the Shilajit, those minerals with humic acid and fulvic acid I'm throwing in, and any of that kind of stuff, just reach out with any questions to support@myfitlife.net. Again, this is Elmer Renton with Cannabis Friends and 420 Buds, where a friend with weed is a friend indeed. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.